This honestly is my student secret. Emotional support iced latte every single morning before a lecture. Hi everyone, I'm Ashlyn and I am doing a law undergrad at the University of Oxford. And today I'll be sharing my student secrets. What inspired you to choose a path of becoming a lawyer? Okay, let's start from the very beginning, I guess. From the age of 13 in secondary school, I started being in an extracurricular. It's called debate club. And so ever since I started debating, I got really interested in knowing more about history, about politics, about how the world works, and I just thought it was really cool. I thought it really opened my eyes to see the different circumstances of people around the world and the different situations, and that made me realize how privileged I was, or how much of the world that I did not know about or had not seen. And it also made me realize that the world was really big. Yeah, and I think that through debate I really learned how to craft arguments, and I had fun demolishing them, coming up with really like strategic arguments with my team. And I had a great team of my coach and a great team of teachers who were also very supportive of like the whole debate club. And so what happened was that I really enjoyed debate, and because of that I decided that law was the natural path to go. It would allow me to argue, it would allow me to read, and it would allow me to find out more about the world around me. What's the most interesting case or legal issue you've studied so far? For me, I would say that the most interesting subject I have taken, the one that I really enjoyed, was Roman law. So what happened was that we were to study the laws of the Romans like in 500 AD, and I thought that that was really fascinating because you got to learn about how the law evolved from so long ago and how things were back then. For me it was an imaginary world. It was funny. It was because all the cases were about this guy chasing away a peacock, or this guy accidentally throwing his javelin and killing your slave, and what were you going to do about it? Yeah, so the cases were funny and there were a lot of interesting legal principles, but what I really enjoyed about it was the historical context. So there were a lot of historical factors, like women couldn't own property, they weren't even seen as legal persons, slaves as well. And I think that really opened my eyes to see how like the law was like back then and how it has evolved so far now. And I think that was such a fascinating subject to do, and also because the Romans have such a big influence on how culture is and how our legal institutions have evolved. So being able to learn the foundations and the roots of private law systems was a subject that I really enjoyed. What was the application process like to get into law school? Okay, this was a long time ago, so so pardon me if I miss out any details. So I think that the application process for me started in about June, when my teachers were like, okay, if you want to apply, you can start like researching, you can think of like things to collate, like a list of achievements, just write things down in your CV, what else you want to say, and then also to know the different dates and deadlines for admissions. So we had to take the law admission test, which is the LNET, and so that was sometime in September or October, and it required booking in like August. So you needed to make sure your dates didn't clash with other examinations and all of that. And yeah, that was the application process. And then also in terms of like thinking about scholarships and like how you're gonna get there. So I guess around June to August was the time I started to like read up more about it and to find out what were my options. Yeah, so from then on I had a lot of help. I was very grateful for a lot of help from my teachers, who really helped me and supported me along the way. They told me things I didn't know, or they helped me vet through my personal statement to make sure that it sounded good and it like truly matched what the law schools were looking for. I think that overall the process was really tiring because I had to do it alongside like the A-level examinations, simply because the Singapore system and the UK system have different timelines. And so I think that was quite tricky, trying to balance both A-levels and doing well in the exams, but also ensuring that enough time goes towards my application. Any tips I have would be just to surround yourself with friends who really encourage you and who really remind you that, there's this, but then they may not completely understand it, but they're always there for you and they're there to support you and just encourage you whenever you need it. And also, you need people to remind you that this is not the only thing in life that matters, and you also want to enjoy yourself in the moment and have fun. What area of law are you most interested in as a potential career? This is a question that I grapple with myself, simply because I don't actually fully know. Like, before this, I really wanted to, was quite set on the barrister route in the UK, and I was happy to, argue in court or whatever. But then I think throughout my internship, I've been learning that there are many different career pathways and many different places that I could end up that I'll be really happy with. So my internship is, I'm currently interning at the Hague Conference of Private International Law, the HCCH. It is an intergovernmental organization that deals with issues of private international law, and it's interesting because it has a sort of legislative aspect where they make conventions to try to harmonize laws together across the various contracting parties. I think that it's a really cool area of law because it merges like diplomacy, politics together with really current legal issues as to what the law should be when, for instance, dealing with things in digital finance or cryptocurrencies and all of that. So I think it's really it's a really cool area of law, and I think that if I were to get the opportunity to work in any sort of field relating to international law, I would be really grateful. How important are internships and clerkships during law school? Okay, so for me, I'll only be speaking from like a UK perspective. I think clerkships are probably more prevalent in other cases like the US systems, where you go to law school after you finish your undergrad. But because I'm doing a law undergrad itself, I think that clerkships may not be so applicable to me right now. Yeah, I think that overall in university or just like doing law, internships are really important because they kind of expose you to the world and expose you to different subject matters that you never thought that you'd like. So you're just fresh out of high school, doing in university, and you don't really know how the world works. And I think that internships are the best way to get an exposure down to like what the world is like, or like what the industry is like, and also to tell you what you like, right? So internships are one of the best ways for you to discover more about yourself. Yeah. I think that throughout internships, I've definitely discovered things that I never thought I liked, and I think that is something that probably one of the most valuable things I've taken away from an internship. So I've interned at probably 2 places already. So the first one would be Child Protection Services in Singapore under the Ministry of Social and Family Development, and secondly would be my current internship at the HCCH. Yeah, I think throughout those 2 internships, I've really took away important lessons like learning how to work with people, learning how the industry works, or learning about whether I want to pursue this career on at a greater level in the future. Yeah, I think that these internships also help to show employers that you have these experiences and that you know what you're doing, and you are also willing to learn if you have a different variety of internships. Yeah, so internships are definitely very important, but I would also say that don't be stressed out if you don't have an internship in the summer, or all your friends are getting these cool internships and you don't have anything. I think that the right thing will come along in the right time. And for me, in my first year in summer, I did not do anything at all. I did not work, I did not have any internships. So it's completely okay if you feel like you're a bit far behind, and people are getting it but you aren't. Yeah, don't be too stressed about the application process. All you need to do is, you know, continue to apply, don't give up, and you know, once you get the first one, that gets the ball rolling, and yeah, more things and then that will lead into more opportunities. What has surprised you the most about working in a legal setting during your internship? For me, the thing that surprised me the most is actually how much I really enjoy the work I'm doing. I think that there's always a stereotype about you know, law firms or just working in law being very boring, about reading these contracts, you know, having to type up all these things and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. But for me, I think because a lot of work that I've been exposed to are things that are really relevant, such as talking about carbon credits or talking about like things such as digital currencies and all of that. So these are all things that are so relevant and so new and so exciting and innovative. And I think that I didn't expect that I would enjoy learning about it so much. So I've never been one of the finance bros or anything. And so this was like the first time I really engaged on such a deep level with you know, digital finance and all these and all these issues. And I'm really surprised that I really enjoy it. And you know, even though the work can be dry sometimes, like just scrolling through, reading through loads of documents, I find it really engaging and I'm like, oh, this is how it relates to the real world. How do you balance an intense workload with law school with maintaining mental and physical health as well as a social life? I don't know if anyone ever reaches a perfect balance because it is crazy. I would say that the workload at for law is definitely like really intense, and there are moments where, like, you know, your physical health and mental health or social life, you just have to like compromise a little bit, but it's also really important to, you know, pull that back and be like, okay, I need a rest day. Okay, firstly, there is a way to kind of pull all of these together to try to, you know, kill two birds with one stone. So if you talk about, you know, balancing intense workload with a social life, you can combine them and do a study date with your friends. So what me and my friends love to do is that we love to go to the different cafes and we'll just have like a cute little coffee date and then pull out our laptops or pull out our books, and then after that, like, you know, do our readings. Of course, you might end up talking or chatting, but then that's fine because I guess that's your mental health. Yeah, and so that also helps to give you a social life and makes studying less intense because you're doing it with friends, and you know, it's less sad when you're not like sat alone in a library but you have people around you. And I think that that also helps your mental health a lot, because sometimes just like not speaking to people or feeling as if, oh, all I have to do is work can be really draining. The second thing is that I have, during term time, I implement like a Sabbath day for myself. So it's like a rest day where you don't work, and usually I do it on Sundays because that's the day I go to church. And so Sundays is a day where I just don't do any work at all, and I simply just enjoy myself with my friends and, you know, go out for lunch, go out for dinner, and just have that day just to truly rest. I think that that has really played a big part in ensuring that I don't get too stressed out and ensuring that I have a good mental health day, because, you know, when you live in the same place that you go to university as, it's really hard to keep like a separation from like work and rest and like your own life. And I think that just like being really strict about a day where like, no, I'm not going to do any work on this day, I'm gonna chill out, is a good way of keeping that balance and ensuring that you don't burn out. Yeah, I think then that comes with a lot of trade-offs and choices that you just have to own, because you're obviously going to be seeing a lot of people in libraries continuing to study, and you know, may feel stressed out and be like, oh, like I have this that's due next week and I really need to get on it. But I think that when you own that choice as to, I'm taking a rest day, and allowing yourself to enjoy that day instead of being guilty, like that is one of the best ways to ensure that your mental health remains good, because it's very easy for all this for stress to compile, especially if you don't take rest days at all. For physical health, I have to admit that, you know, I'm not the best at exercising, but I think that simply just like going on a run after like a really long study day, or going for a walk surrounding yourself in nature, is one of the best ways that one of the ways that I really enjoyed. So just walking in a park with your friends is, you know, a way that you can balance like physical health and social life, and ensuring that, you know, you still meet people even though you're studying really hard. What resources or support systems have been most helpful to you as a law student? In university, we have this system called a college family, where you are assigned to a person in the year above you, and they're called like your college parent, and they are like you know, supposed to help you, and you, whatever questions you get, you can, you know, ask them, or just find out, or, you know, and they'll give you tips, they'll give you advice on how to handle it. And I think that that is something that has been super helpful to me, to like be able to have someone who's been through it, that, you know, I can go to and be like, oh, when you face this problem, like, how do you solve it? Do you have any tips? Yeah, so I think that just being able to receive advice from friends who are in the older years have been really helpful to me, because it's like, okay, so they went through it and this is what they did, and, you know, I may not work in the same way as them, but I know that, you know, these are different methods of overcoming the problem, and it has been really helpful for me. Another support system that has been really helpful to me as a law student is simply to have friends who are not law students, because I think that if you're constantly surrounded by people who are also doing law, or who are in the same situation as you guys might just end up stressing each other out, and just be like, oh, now we're all stressed together. And obviously it's really nice to have friends to are going through the same thing as you, and who can relate to the issues that you're facing. Like, you know, you can't solve this problem, you don't understand this subject. But I think that surrounding yourself with people who do different subjects than you can also be a great way of like supporting yourself, by, you know, you're because you guys would not be talking about law all the time, and that really helps to take your mind off things, or, you know, you find other things in life to chat about, and that reminds you that, you know, the world is so much bigger, and there are other things in life that you can enjoy. So I think that having a really diverse group of friends from different subjects, so that, you know, your mind is taken off the law, is also very has been really helpful to me. I think the next thing that I would really recommend for someone as a law student is to have non-academic hobbies. So for me, I really like, as a kid, I really love reading, but because I do law, and now like during like the day, during classes, I have to read so much that when I try to like pick up a book for enjoyment, it's like my eyes are tired, I don't want to read anymore. I just read it like a legal textbook, and it's not that fun. So I would say find a hobby that doesn't involve words, doesn't involve reading. It could be watching a movie, going for a walk, or just like you know, doing different things around you with people, with friends, and yeah, anything non-academic, because after studying, the last thing you want to do is like pick up a historical fiction book, or pick up another book about a lawyer and read it. And I think that I don't usually read during term time, because for leisure during term time, because then it's just too much reading for me. So just having a diverse range of hobbies that don't involve sitting down and looking at a book. What's one thing you might be scared of or hesitant about when it comes to working in law? I think for me, the thing that really got me was that everyone seems so like set on this like certain career path, or, you know, so sure to be like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, then that will lead to that, and then, you know, I'm going to be a qualified lawyer in like 3 or 4 years time. And I think that for me, as someone who like didn't really know what I wanted, or, you know, was open to like whatever that came, that was like really scary to me, to see everyone like seem as if they had it all figured out. And I think that when it comes to law, when there's like, you know, quite a set path towards qualifying, or like going into private practice, working for firms, that those were the paths that most people choose. And, you know, when you see everyone going for them and, you know, getting those positions, it can be really scary, because you're like, do I really want to do that? Do I want to wait a bit? What if I don't even know what I want? And yeah, that was the one thing that really scared me and intimidated me, was that how everyone like knew or seemed as if they had it all figured out. I think the way around that is to realize that each person has their own path, and each person is going through their own journey. And so, you know, what works for someone else is not going to might not work for you, because you're your own person with your different strengths and weaknesses and your different personalities, likes and dislikes, and different passions as well. So you have to realize that even if everyone seems so set on like going to a corporate firm or working in private practice and you don't really want to commit to that yet, like that's completely fine, and you can take your time to explore and see what you truly like, because that's what university is for, right? To find out different things about yourself and to find out different passions and all of that. So even if you are a bit hesitant as like, oh, do I want to like work the hours at a law firm, or do I want to commit to like a corporate job, I think it's completely fine if you don't have that all figured out yet, because let me tell you, I don't at all. I'm still taking it one step at a time, and I think that is what a lot of people are doing as well, just taking whatever comes their way and letting the path lead to wherever it wants to go, and also just walking along it and seeing which one they are most passionate about. And I think that's the way to do it, because there's really no set path into becoming a lawyer or doing law or all of that, because it's such a diverse view and each person kind of has their own way into it. So don't be too worried about not having it all figured out yet. If you could go back to the start of your law school journey, what advice would you give your younger self? I think I would tell first year Ashlyn just not to worry so much. Like, I think she was probably slightly stressed out and worried about what's going to happen or trying to figure out what life would look like. But honestly, there's no point worrying, because worrying won't solve anything and it will just detract from your enjoyment. And so I'll tell her not to worry so much, because you can't figure it out. Like a year later on, going into final year, I still don't have it all figured out, so don't bother trying to figure it out, and just to enjoy your uni life with your friends and making memories and things that you will cherish and remember. I think that I would also tell her to look back more often, because that has been something that I've been doing a lot, which is kind of like to practice gratitude, like looking back and be like, oh, actually, like me at 18 would never thought that I'll be in the position that I'll be in today. And I think that if younger Ashlyn would just look back more and realize that, hey, she's actually been on an amazing journey and look how far she's come, and God is going to figure it all out and it's all going to be taken care of, that actually it's all going to be okay. Thank you for sitting down and listening to my story. If you want to hear more stories from other students, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Last piece of advice before I go, don't try to be anyone else, just be yourself, because only you can grow into who you are created to be. And if you try to be like other people, the world will suffer a twofold detriment. Firstly, they'll get an imitation of someone else, of whoever you're trying to be, and secondly, they're going to lose out on the person that you are. And you are an amazing person with such a bright future ahead of you, so don't try to be someone else. Just be happy to grow into yourself, whatever that looks like. Bye!